What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's edition of the Weekly Pulls. My name's Derek. Like, subscribe, share, comment, follow me on Twitter at the Weekly Pulls. If you haven't been keeping up with me on Twitter, I've had some big news this week, you guys. Tomorrow, me and my best friend Tevin starting the Weekly Pulls podcast. We hope to record our first episode tomorrow. This video, of course, is for my pulls of the week of June the 30th. Probably my favorite week I've had all month, you guys. This was a big week. 6 great comics. Tomorrow, along with the first episode of our podcast, I'm going to be making and putting out my next Indie Spotlight. Be on the lookout for that too. And definitely be on the lookout for the Indie Spotlight because I've got another exciting announcement coming in the Indie Spotlight. So definitely be on the lookout for everything. It's a big week for the Weekly Pulls here, you guys. Alright, let's get this show on the road. First up, we have Giant Size, Amazing Spider-Man, Chameleon Conspiracy, the finale. Super good issue, giant comic, $5.99. I enjoyed this issue. Oversized, of course, it's giant sized. Duh. First page, we get this nice splash of Peter and Ned recapping. Really, Peter recapping everything that's happened with Ned leads up until now. We have 2 stories going on in this comic. Ned and Spidey trying to save Jamie from Chance and the Foreigner in the giant flying casino. Teresa Parker, Peter's sister, is in custody of the Chameleon and the Finisher. 2 pretty good stories. However, Teresa's story is definitely more captivating than what's going on with Spider-Man. Is that a bad thing? I don't think so. The Chameleon and the Finisher are trying to convince Teresa that she herself is a chameleon. I'm not going to spoil it. You're going to have to read it and see for yourself. Is it really Teresa Parker? Or is it not? This issue has lots of flashing back, mostly from Teresa looking back at her parents and just trying to figure out who she really is. And Ned, of course, they're having to fight the Jack-o'-lantern and Chance and the Foreigner. Eventually, the flying villain casino comes crashing down. Really like the panel of Spidey pulling up, trying to keep the ship from crashing into New York. I will say at the end, we get a nice page with Kindred and the Chameleon. They've been working together. It's been kind of obvious that the Chameleon would be working with Kindred, considering everything that's happened in Amazing Spider-Man up until now. And of course, at the end of this issue, we get Otto Octavius recruiting another member of the Sinister Six. This issue, it's Kraven the Hunter, and he offers up something to Kraven, more like someone, to join him. Won't spoil that either. Issue 70 comes out next week. That's going to serve as the prelude to Sinister War, and then the week after that, we get Sinister War #1. It's a great time to jump into Spidey right now, you guys. If you want nothing to do with Nick Spencer's run at all, issue number 75, we are getting new creators. We are getting new story arcs. If you want to catch the end of what's going on in this story, jump in next week. If not, wait until September. Alright, up next, we have BetaRayBill #4. I love this series, you guys. Don't want it to end. This BetaRayBill series is probably the best Marvel title on shelves right now. Take it to the bank. If you're not reading BetaRayBill, pick this up. If you don't want the single issues when it comes out on trade, you need to read this. Daniel Warren Johnson, Mike Spicer, firing on all cylinders. This is a 5-issue miniseries, and I wish it was just an ongoing thing. This is fantastic. This is what a comic book is supposed to be. The first page, we have Bill suffering a nightmare. He sees himself in his original Corbinite form, and we get some nice body horror of him reverting back to his horse face. Kind of a disturbing page, but I loved it. At the end of issue 3, they crashed their ship. We didn't really know where they crashed it. Turns out they crashed into this giant squid with multiple eyeballs monster because they're in Muspelheim. If you haven't been reading, Scuttlebutt has become sentient. She has all of Bill's memories recorded within the ship. With the ship being trapped in this giant squid, it's malfunctioning. And now Scut and Bill are reliving Bill's most prolific memories. It's a really fun issue. The first memory that we get, the first time Bill interacted with Thor, and in classic Daniel Warren Johnson style, he takes Thor to Suplex City! Suplex City! The next memory we get is Bill undergoing surgery. Not gonna lie, I don't know when this is from. I don't know all of Bill's backstory. This is really my first experience with BetaRayBill, so I don't know all of his backstory. I'm gonna get on that. However, I really love this page. The amount of detail in this page with Bill on the operating table, phenomenal. Daniel Warren Johnson is from another planet. I mean, this is insane. Third and final big memory we get is Bill's last conversation with his mother. Super sad here, you guys. I felt it in my soul. This series has the most heart out of any Marvel title, maybe even out of all of my indies. Like, this is some next level good storytelling. I'm never gonna forget this comic. I'm gonna remember this story forever. And then, of course, I do know this part of Beta Ray Bill's history. After that conversation with his mother, Bill was taken away, and then we get this nice double page splash of his planet and his family being killed and destroyed. Super sad stuff. They do escape the giant squid, get a nice double page splash of Bill approaching Twilight, the sword of Surtur, what he's been looking for this whole time to replace Stormbreaker. Bill and Scott share a nice intimate moment with each other. It's actually kind of romantic. I kind of hope in issue 5 that something between Scott and Bill does happen, just because this whole story has been Bill feeling inadequate. Scott has come out to feel inadequate, and I hope that they find love with each other. I think that would be really sweet. End of this issue, we get a nice splash page of Surtur challenging Bill, saying, "You're not getting Twilight without a fight." And I love it. I can't wait. Next month, we get the 5th and final issue of this series. Like I said, if you're not reading Beta Ray Bill, you need this series. Even if you don't like Beta Ray Bill, you need to read it. Daniel Warren Johnson, Mike Spicer, can't miss, dude. Fantastic stuff. Moving on, the rest of my titles are now indies. First up, we have Two Moons, number 5. I love Two Moons. This is a great story. This is good horror. This is good historical fiction. Civil War era. This is really good stuff, you guys. This issue marks the end of the first story arc. If you haven't been reading Two Moons and you're curious about this story, the trade paperback does come out in August, so keep that in mind as you're watching this review. Picks up exactly where issue 4 left off. Two Moons, Nurse Francis, a couple of the Union soldiers are all surrounded by all of the demons. This is the most action-packed issue of this series that we have gotten. Two Moons turns up his badassery level in this issue, you guys. First things first, he chops off the leader of the demon's head, like second page. Loved it. Once Two Moons does that, the demons fall back, but then they regroup. There's a big battle that ensues between the demons and the Union soldiers. Fantastic pages here, wonderful art. Everybody in the art department on this book, you guys are amazing. Art in this book might be some of the best art that I have in my pull list right now. So much detail. As I've said in previous videos, I'm going to say it again, you can really tell the guys creating this story really care about what they're making. A nice panel where Nurse Francis almost gets killed by a demon. Looks like Mothman to me. I don't know though. Definitely looks like Mothman. After Nurse Francis's near-death experience, Two Moons goes ballistic. Something in him snaps. It changes him. His grandfather's spirit is telling him not to kill the monsters. Two Moons is just over it all. He goes apeshit. I really love this splash page of Two Moons over top of this pile of demons where he's saying, "I'll show you fear." Like, badass. He gets this nice crazy look in his eye here. He's just over it. He's ready to end this, and he wants the demons dead and gone. I'm not going to spoil the end. I'm pretty sure this is an ongoing series, but I will say at the end of the issue, it didn't say to be continued or the end. I'm not real sure. The ending wasn't really clear as far as where it's going from here. Please, if you know, get in the comments, let me know. Is this the end? Is there going to be more? Please, I'm dying to know if I'm going to get more Two Moons. As I said before, if you haven't been reading this in single issues, the trade does come out next month in August, I believe the 25th. This is a great series. You don't want to miss it. Up next, Spawn, number 319. I just want to talk about this cover for a second. I love this cover. It's sick. There's so much detail in here. Todd Father cannot miss, you guys. Honestly, I've said in previous videos that I was thinking about taking Spawn off of my pull list. This issue, I'm pretty sure, has reeled me back in. I really love this issue. I didn't lose focus at all the whole time I was reading it. It was really captivating for me. Lots of action. Spawn really turned up the heat and was kicking ass. The very beginning of the issue, it shows this man in Italy named Gino. Don't really know where it's going from there. Turns out Gino is a vampire and he has information that Spawn needs, some kind of file, something to do with Mega Spawn and the whole. Like I said, I'm still kind of lost when it comes to the main story, but I'm doing my best to pick up the pieces and make sense of it. All the Spawn issues that I've been reading since I've started pulling Spawn, this was the most badass we've seen Spawn. He toys with Gino. He lets Gino get the upper hand on him for fun. Gets a couple licks in on Spawn, and then Spawn just unleashes hell on this guy. He ends up knocking out the dude's fangs. He gets the information he needs. Loved every second of this. Later in the issue, he ends up going to Sam, asking him where's Twitch. I really like the dialogue here between Spawn and Sam. Sam has never really saw eye to eye with Spawn, but he's willing to work together because they know whatever's happening is bigger than the both of them. I'm not going to show you, but at the end we do see what happened to Cygor after the end of Spawn's universe, and we do see Jericho in a panel. And there was a character at the end. I'm not sure if he was a mystery character. If you've read Spawn 319, get in the comments, let me know who was that guy at the end. Was he important? Is he new? I don't know. Educate me. This issue really reeled me back in with Spawn. I'm excited for King Spawn. I'm probably going to keep him on my pull list for a while at least. Definitely, even if you're not a big fan of Spawn, pick up this issue and check it out. It was a lot of fun. Up next, we have a title that pretty much everybody has been looking forward to since it was announced now. The hype about it was real, and I must say, totally worth it. Barbaric #1 from Vault. What an amazing first issue. I loved this comic. This comic just felt like nice, classic comic book vibes, I guess, right? We have a barbarian, we have his axe who's cursed, we have blood, guts, fighting, fantastic action, wonderful panel to panel. Comic follows Owen the Barbarian. He has been cursed to do good and only good. He has to answer every beck and call to him, asking him for help. And as a barbarian, he hates that. What do barbarians do? Kill for fun, pillage, drink, you know, not good stuff. Depending on who you ask. One has to obey his axe. Axe is probably the best character in this book, okay? Axe is hilarious. He gets drunk off of blood. He talks Owen into killing people to get the blood. It's so funny, so well written. As I've said, brutal, ultra violence. It goes back and it tells us how Owen got to where he is now. He had 3 friends. Turns out they were witches. They cursed him. They gave him 2 options. Go to hell or do good and only good. And you have to listen to Axe. So of course, he took the better end of the deal. According to the witches, that this was a move in a bigger scheme of things. I'm sure we'll learn more of why and how we got here later on. Towards the end of the book, there's this young witch. She's about to be burned alive. Owen steps in because she's screaming for help. Owen wasn't for sure if she was a witch because, you know, back in the day, that's what happened. People, you just pointed at a woman and called her a witch and they'd burn her alive, no questions asked. But it turns out this one's actually a witch, but she's not bad. Owen helps her escape the custody of basically this town. There's a nice little cliffhanger at the end. I'm not going to spoil that for you. We'll talk about that whenever issue 2 drops next month. This is fun, this is violent, vulgar, this is hilarious. I loved Barbaric. This is everything that a comic book should be. The colors, the art, panel to panel, action, amazing. We have huge potential here to just have a really fun, exciting, hilarious, ongoing comic. Axe for president. We love Axe. If you did not pick up Barbaric, already being sent for 2nd and 3rd printings, definitely pick this up. I promise you're not going to regret it. Barbaric was fantastic. Not going to lie, going into this week, I thought for sure Barbaric was going to be my pick of the week. But it's not. It was edged out. Am I a little biased? Probably, but there was another comic in my stack that I just absolutely loved. That Texas Blood, #7. I love this series so much. Chris Condon, Jacob Phillips, I love you guys. This issue started the brand new story arc. If you want to get into that Texas Blood, head down to your local comic shop, pick up volume 1, it's $9.99. Fantastic series, you guys. Good crime, great dialogue, the art is beautiful. Great characters. I love Joe Bob. Who doesn't love Joe Bob? So this issue picks up. Joe Bob is going to see his preacher. Joe Bob has seen a lot of stuff. If you've read volume 1, you know that Joe Bob has seen some wild stuff being the sheriff of Ambrose County. 40 years ago, Joe Bob was involved in a cult murder case. Reminisces about it with his wife. He feels guilt. I really love these pages here when he's laying in bed with his wife and he can't sleep, and it just shows him getting up out of bed, getting into his trophy, getting his secret pack of cigarettes, sneaking out onto the porch. I just really loved the artwork in here. Jacob Phillips, you're the man. He's outside to smoke. He looks up and he sees what appears to be a cult member. Freaks him out. He imagined it. These pages here, there's not a lot of dialogue because it's just Joe Bob, but it's telling a story, right? Like, that's what comics do. We tell the story with the dialogue and the art, and it's just so well done. One of my favorite panels is him flicking the cigarette. I really loved that panel. I just love what Jacob Phillips did here, where you can see where it was thrown. You see it bounce off the sidewalk. Beautiful. Gets back inside. He starts digging through his files on this case. And then we get flashbacks to when Joe Bob and his other police officers found the 2 dead bodies of these dead kids. Here is where we get the great dialogue between Joe Bob and his deputies, trying to figure out who killed these kids, when these kids were killed. It's just, this is really good. This is how you do a crime comic, and it's in Texas, so it has that nice Western feel about it. Probably my favorite genre of comic is crime, and this is probably the best crime comic on shelves right now. I love that Texas blood. End of the issue, this private investigator shows up, claims he's from California, searching for cult members, and he believes that they're in Ambrose County now, and it makes sense because these kids were murdered brutally in this cornfield, and it looks like some real cult sacrificial stuff here. Everything about this comic is perfect. The dialogue, the art, the story, the mood, the colors, everything. I would recommend every single comic in this stack to anybody out there. But that Texas Blood, I just love it so much. It's perfect. Really resonates with me. Maybe it's because it is in Texas and I love Westerns and I love a good crime story. Joe Bob is just a really good character. I love the banter he has with his wife. Joe Bob is a really believable guy. I feel like I could go to any small town anywhere, meet the sheriff, and I'd be like, you're Joe Bob. If you want to go back and read Volume 1, $9.99 on trade paperback. However, if you just want to jump right in, this is a brand new story arc. I would say you don't need to read Volume 1 to jump in right now. So if you want to get in on this, go pick up that Texas Blood #7 at your local comic shop. Best crime comic on shelves right now. Alright, so that does it for my pulls this week. Like, subscribe, share, comment, follow me on Twitter at The Weekly Pulls. This was a great week for comics. Not a single, even meh comic in my stack. I loved every single book I got this week. Tomorrow I'll be on the lookout for my indie spotlight. All of you that have inboxed me and sent me your books, be ready, because I'm going to make you all a great review, and I hope I can get you all some traffic. And of course, more big news. Tomorrow, me and my best friend Tevin, we're going to release the first episode of the Weekly Pulls podcast. Be on the lookout for that as well. Make sure you follow me on Twitter for any and all updates. There's going to be another big announcement in my indie spotlight video. Definitely be on the lookout for that. I've got big stuff happening next Saturday. Remember that, next Saturday, big event going on, a first for the Weekly Pulls. You don't want to miss it. Thank you so much for checking out my channel. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this. All of you homies on Twitter, much love. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.